Well, here I am again, Maurice Lupton, off for my morning walk. This must be the finest stretch of beach on the finest island the whole world over. For a little speck of land in the North Atlantic, it sure is a good un. Oh, I see those yoga folks up at the lighthouse are up bright and early, saluting the sun and all that. I always thought that looked like fun. But this walk isn't the same without Sparky. She did love chasing that tennis ball. Oh, Sparky, I miss you, girl. The crater's definitely been smoking more than usual lately. That's funny, that, for a dormant volcano. Shelmerston used to be a quiet place. You'd only come here if you liked fishing or bird watching. But since the new ferry service started, we get loads of tourists. But what you gonna do? It's always changing. Yep, Shelmerston's a smashing place. I'm lucky to call it home. The bench! Yeah, this is, well, it's my bench. Yeah, the museum paid for it because I was the curator there. Yeah, and they did that to remember me because, oh yes, I am dead. It's been some adjustment, but not all bad. Yeah, I should probably go and check on the museum, actually. Yeah, I've been collecting the stories of Shelmerston for years now, here in my museum. There are so many stories, and wonderful ones. The museum started off small, but just grew and grew. It's shut at the moment, of course. Not sure what's going to happen with it now that I'm no longer doing it. I do like coming back here, though. Gives me a bit of purpose, which I've really missed since, becoming dead. Oh, one thing that's been keeping me amused. Since I've been dead, I found I can do some new things. Pretty weird. Yeah, I'm not sure what use it is, but it's been keeping me quite entertained. But the novelty's worn off. I mean, it's been, I don't know how long exactly, but an awful long time since I've had anyone to talk to. Well, anyone who talked back, anyway. No, I couldn't. That sounds like Sparky. Is that you?
Maurice, come with me. I need to show you something. What?
It's
Most. Take that.
Ghost.
Right.
Oh.
Yes.
What were you?
Yep. Well, right
and-
by.
So,
When Pete arrived at the lighthouse, he needed help running it, but refused all offers. Eventually, fearing the possibility of I bought Pete a plant as a welcome present. He introduced himself very quietly, but didn't seem to want to say anything else. He seemed to, whenever I would enter a room, Pete would mutter some excuse to leave. Eventually, Pete noticed the plant. Then, Pete noticed me. That was the start of what became this.
What?
Hey.
I met Pete for the first time on a yoga retreat in Goa. He was the best yoga teacher, but very reserved. I noticed he had some... When I got home, I looked him up. I couldn't believe it. He'd been with Special Forces in Helmand and was awarded a medal for bravery. Pete, I booked the retreat again the next year. I thought he was such an interesting bloke. Still waters, you know. And one evening, after class, I followed him down to the beach. I went back to Goa the following year, but Pete wasn't teaching and it just wasn't the same. Not as good. Then, a couple of years later, I saw an online ad for his new retreat. It was the same Pete Noach, and if anything, he was an even better teacher. One coffee break, when I got him on his own, I brought up Helmand in conversation. I kept coming back for the yoga. And you know, over the years, I saw Pete mellow. I think the lighthouse was doing him good. He even cracked a joke with the group once in a while. So, that summer...
Oh.
This.
I was getting ready to lay my egg, but my nest needed that little something extra. I found the perfect thing. The human and that metal beast seemed quite agitated.
Oil?
Dog.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm the...
Morris.
Okay.
More. Okay.
I'm so happy.
Pete was hard to read, you know? Strong, silent type. But you could tell he loved his collection of Buddhas. He said they were like, Pete was very protective about his collection. Hated people messing with them, even telling off Em when she was dusting. One day, one of the Buddhas went missing. Pete was distraught. Not much affected him, so it was a shock for everyone to see how all of us at the retreat spent the whole afternoon searching, but we never found it. To cheer him up, Em bought Pete a little toy robot. You could tell.
Ah.
I just got divorced and really wanted to go on a golfing holiday, but my best mate Tammy somehow talked me into doing a yoga retreat instead. Yoga made me feel weird and uncomfortable. After the first day, I'd basically given up. I thought Pete was a bit angry with me. Exploring the lighthouse, I came across Pete's set of clubs. Bingo, I thought. I took the clubs up to the observation deck and spent all afternoon perfecting my...
Oh,
Apps.
go! Yeah. Oh, well, that... I always... hell... Yeah.
And now.
Gloves! I love them. I can't get enough gloves. I stole farmer's glove. I stole the fisherman's glove. I saw that girl out in my woods, riding that strange bumpy beast around again. She really seemed to love that awful creature. This was an opportunity I wasn't going to miss. Lovely gloves.
Oh, yep.
Hey.
After my wife Penny's death, I struggled to find ways to spend time with my daughter. It had hit us both hard, but, you know, stiff upper lip and all that. Looking for something we could do together, I bought Valerie a set of paints. But she never even opened them. I was cross at first, but asked myself, then one day I managed to talk her into coming into the park with me to paint some of the nature she loves so much. It was a disaster. Valerie simply didn't have the temperament for painting. She had a huge, silly tantrum, and through all the... I told her I wasn't having this kind of childish behavior, and I told her to stay in her room until she had calmed...
I spent the summer of '83 with Henry Outram, Laird of Shelmerston, in his grand hall working on a new piece. Henry was a delightful host, always excited to have us bright young artists around, and always ready with His daughter, I think her name was Mallory or Valerie or something, was usually outside roaming the grounds. Henry said she was discovering. One day, I came across the perfect finishing touch to my sculptural masterpiece, but it turned out to belong to the wretched child. I went to Henry, thinking he could make her give me the boat. But to my astonishment, Henry told me Henry called his daughter and we all talked about it. When Henry suggested that maybe I could buy... In the last summer, before our GCSEs, Val and me spent a lot of time together. Usually wondering how we could get our hands. No one on this stupid little island would serve us, though. One day, we were hanging around on the allotments near the quay when we spotted something. And so, later that night, we went into the woods behind Val's house to drink it, sitting on top of that ancient stone that they say protects the island. But there was no way. A few weeks later, we went to dig it up again, but couldn't remember where we'd dug the hole.
There.
What?
The famous sculptor Vernon Russet was working on a huge statement piece in my honor. A statue of a camel with my head. When I saw the week before the public unveiling, Vernon had me visit the statue. He needed to make some final adjustments to the face. Valerie came along too. She looked like... When the statue was revealed, the nose was missing. Fortunately, we all managed to cover our surprise and act like nothing was wrong. So no one was any the wiser. Some fella... I'm pretty sure I know what happened to that nose. Aha, the old Outram spirit. Good for you, Valerie. Your mother would have been...
Morris, you has. Oh,
Aggie. Oh.
I'm.
Oh,
Thank
you.
Come back.
Oh.
Goodbye.
No,
What you
we're...
like it?
Oh, yes,
And-
yeah.
Oh, you know what?
yeah.
Oh. So, was
It was the day of the island cricket match out on the volcanic sandspit. We had lost to Appledore for the past 3 years, and it was my first year as captain. I didn't want another loss on my watch. Ogden showed up with his own bat. He told me he'd won it in a pub in Dunedin and that it had belonged to a famous New Zealand player. I wondered whether I should put him into bat. Ogden hit a six with his first stroke. We went wild! And just when I thought it must be a fluke, he hit another. Ogden hit so many cricket balls out into the sea that we had to stop play. We'd run out. It was a stunning win, and we carried Ogden back across the sand.
Help!
Hey!
I remember when a young Ogden asked to join the Shelmerston Silver Band. I recognised he could play anything, that lad. Literally anything. Eventually he settled on the sousaphone, which he always insisted on playing with his lucky bronze mouthpiece. One evening after the Silver Band played a storming concert in the Camel, Ogden and Sally got it into their heads to go for a night swim in the harbour. It really rattled him. Ogden was worried he wouldn't be able to perform without it. But of course, next time we played, he could play anything, that lad.
oh,
way.
I remember we was walking home from school, a bunch of us, and I told him my granddad said the lad. Everyone laughed, but I told them it was true. Ogden didn't believe me. Someone would have seen it, sneaking past the big house. We were almost caught by the gamekeeper and had to run. Hell for leather. We reached the trees, out of breath. I was bent double and leant against a tree. Ogden had better breath control and he recovered quickly. He saw it. The next day, we were kicking ourselves. We had no proof. No.
We were 14 when we started going out. Me and my friend Cassia had started a beach clean at the weekend, and Ogden turned up with his mate Godfrey. I had no idea. He'd been going out for a few years when I applied to Floristry College on the mainland. I didn't tell Ogden. I didn't believe I'd get in, but I did get in. And he was gutted. I felt terrible. I didn't want to hurt Ogden. He said he did. Finally, on my last night, I made a decision. I would take an apprenticeship at the garden centre on the island instead, so we could stay together. But when I opened the door the next day, I found Ogden's sousaphone left on the doorstep. I ran down to his house, my heart in my mouth. His mum, she never did like me, was a little bit smug. She told me I was more than a bit tearful, but, you know, looking back, I think we both needed...
Wow!
Why?
I missed Ogden so much, and for the first month there was no letter at all. I took my place at college on the mainland without knowing how he was feeling. It was a shock how low it made. Then the letters started arriving, and it was amazing. Each one came with a penny from a different country. One from Valparaiso, another from Dakar. I wrote back and told Ogden about my course, trips to Kew Garden. When he arrived in Christchurch, he'd send me flowers pressed in his letters. I sent him a shell from home, and then I came back to the island, and when my father died, I opened up my own florist shop on the quay. I tucked the halfpenny under the front step for luck. One day, Ogden showed up at the shop, completely out of the blue. He told me there was nowhere like Shelmerston.
What?
Well,
I know. Yes. Well,
you
hey,
well, that,
but
yeah,
well,
more.
the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My whole life I've dreamed of seeing a Jempson's sea owl. One day, I read the news that a guy on this little island called Shelmerston, the only B&B on the island, booked up really fast. So I decided to stay at the temporary campsite set up by the guy who discovered the sea owl. Greg had given the owl a name, David Abrahams. A bit weird, but I guess he was the one who found it. And because I got to know Greg a bit during my stay, he really seemed to resent all the noise and fuss on the island. His island, as he thought of it. Greg told us he'd take us up in groups to the owl's nest site, but I snuck up early with my camera. It saw me and it flew out to make do with a picture of the model. It wasn't the same.
Ah.
Miles and I came to Shelmerston for the Sheller Cup final. Miles was the world champion for ages. Greg, the campsite manager. Miles was up early every morning, training for the big race. Greg would always be lurking in the background, taking photos. It became rather annoying. How many photos did he need? Oh God, and one time he turned up at our bar. So, race day arrives, and Greg is there with his camera, of course, getting in everyone's way. So Greg leans out into the... and Miles goes crashing right into Greg. Total disaster. Miles goes down and quasi flies. Later that night, all us Shellers were on our way back from the pub, and we heard Greg outside his caravan, just sat by himself. So then Greg came back and hung out with us, brought his camera and showed us all his Sheller race photos. You know, that guy was actually...
Shh.
I only knew Greg briefly, from the summer that I took over the campsite and he retired. He seemed harmless enough. As part of his official handover process, he gave me a big box of rule books. I couldn't believe them. The amount of inches apart each tent had to be, the angle of pitch, permitting no skipping ropes, marbles, conkers or throwing games, no singing with hand drums. I built a huge fire on the beach, invited the whole site for a big party and burned the lot. But then, awkward, Greg showed up. I guess he'd been collecting some things from his caravan and came to see what the noise was all about. He must have noticed what we were burning, but he never mentioned it. That was the last time I saw him. I always...
What?
What's this?
I love camping. We've come to Shelmerston every summer with the kids for years. Okay, our tent is a bit bright, but that means the kids... Greg seemed angry about everything this year. He told us our tent was outside of the regulation colours. One day, Greg confiscated my little one's kite. He was terrifying. We still sometimes get nightmares about it. I had to do something. When I saw Greg put the whistle down, I pinched it and took out the pea. You know, the thing that... I threw that pea somewhere Greg would never find it. You should have seen his face.
Are you?
My best thing is throwing discs. I am really good. I like playing with Dan and Toddler. It's our favourite. One time, Greg Clifferland came up the beach, all red-faced like an angry tomato. He pointed at a sign. It said he told me to give him my disc, but I wouldn't. I threw it high up into the air, and it went bang into a massive bird. Then the bird fell into the sea. I felt so awful. I never meant to hurt the bird. The whole Mr. Lifferland was screaming. He waded into the sea, picked up that bird, and carried it back to the beach.
Oh. Yeah,
Well,
Oh, it, no.
fine.
Thanks.
It's
Don't
quite
yet,
really
no.
bad.
Well, no
Well,
doubt so.
I certain does it.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I swim with a pod south of the Fire Isles. I believe the dry-siders call the larger one Shelmerston. It's where the ceremony. I did not believe it at first. A food which snaps so dry. Then one morning at sunup, I followed the ship and caught her. I saw samphire on the dry side and came up out of the sea to ask them for toast. They asked me to put on some pants, but I refused to denigrate myself with dry. Sam took me to their parents' toast shack, but they refused to serve me without clothes. They also told me that my shiny coins were unsuitable, too old. So I spend my nights swimming through the black waters of the deepest ocean trenches. By day I come...
Oh.
By the time Sam started as the harbour controller in '79, the fishing industry in Shelmerston was on its arse. No way to compete with those factory trawlers from the mainland, was there? Couldn't moor those things anywhere near the island, even if it was a lot of trouble at first. Sam trying to stick by the rules and catch us out any way they could, and us trying any which way to give her the runabout. Wasn't easy, mind you. She was smart, that Sam. You never knew when they were going to pop her head. But in time, Sam started to see how things were, how we do things, and we came to an understanding of sorts. If Sam turned a blind eye to a bit of the decent stuff, the harmless stuff, Sam was sharp as a gutting knife. They made us hand over some of the, shall we say, dividends to fix up the quay, all them sheds and that. Make them into something we can be proud of. At the same time, Sam organised a kind of work-sharing thing with the fish folk. Got some of them to swim along with the fishing boats, help them locate the biggest shoal.
It was the 6th summer after I spawned that I went to my first Aggie's Day ceremony. You know, Aggie, the dry cider who saved the world from cracking in two. It was so loud and hot out there, all that shell blowing. I was bored and my body felt dry and heavy. I was too young. Sam saw I was fed up. They took me up the beach, away to the dunes, and Sam gave me a little polished stone of my own to play with. We became good friends. Sam helped a lot. They were always on my side. My pod, we were quite traditional, didn't like us. That stone was my lucky charm. I took it with me when I went for the interview, and I took it down with me when I went on my... Sam took me under their fin, invited me out to the camel, and let me stay with them and blithe on the ferry if it was a late one.
When I was a kid, I hated the annual Morlow Cull. I was kept away and found excuses not to be there. Then, age 10, but you grow up, don't you? I never felt it right that we was killing Morlows, but what could I do about it? I was just a fisherman. I went along to that first meeting at the campsite. Greg Litherland was one of the other organisers. It was beautiful. So much. Me, Sam and Greg held regular events to raise funds for badges and patches. I was proud. There was quite a rift between us and the old guard. They felt the ban was an attack on our ways. Sam and me took a load of the fishermen out for a beer. By 87, we finally felt like we had enough support to push for change. So the week before the Morlow showed up, we organised a mass dying on the beach.
I first met Sam when I sailed the new ferry, the Queen of the Isles, into harbor. Of course, I'd heard of the fish folk, but I'd never met one. Sam, next time I was in Chelmerston, we went for a drink at the Camel. I'm more into bats than beer, but Sam was intriguing, and the atmosphere in there was. Sam invited me over for toast and hot chocolate. Honestly, hot chocolate doesn't do it for me. But the toast, that malt, I stayed over. In the morning, we went for a walk along the beach. And just as the sun was rising, I took them flying on my back. It was on the next trip to Chelmerston. We just sighted land when Sam's head popped out of the water right beside my berth and passed me when we moved in together. It was the best day of my whole life. I put that cuttlefish.
Well, no. No.
Okay,
No.
no, that's...
No, it...
I'm...
Right.
and...
Oh, all right.
It was the worst night in the world when Aggie was born. It began in the old village, the one swept away by the rivers of fire. I thought we would all die. Everyone washed in the burning orange death. And Aggie's mother, we made it as far as the cliff top by the sea. The mountain was still roaring and roaring. The rock ran in rivers toward... But Aggie was perfect. Small and angry, her tiny fists pummeling the air. We chose a spot for the new village, closer to the beach. The burning rivers cooled to pumice. I made sure everyone knew that a life that began in this way would be special.
No.
Okay,
Well,
Mark's not... Well...
Of course, we watched her. We had heard of her birth and seen her on the shore. Her feet sometimes in the sea. We did not show ourselves at first. As a test, we left the mirror on the black shore, born of the volcano on the same day as she picked it up. Turned it from side to side. She took it the next time I saw her. I introduced myself. We sang together, and I showed her how the mirror worked. She saw a girl, her own daughter not yet born, as leader of the dry folk. I told Aggie to keep...
Oh!
I was always fearless. My mother Aggie told me there was nothing I couldn't do. With Otsul and without, I hunted, and younger still. One time Aggie had me knock her tooth out when she was in terrible pain. I didn't mind even when the blood poured. Spears and knives were my nature. Death and courage were my meat and drink. I knew about Aggie's mirror. When Aggie warned us the mauler was sick and there would be fewer calves for the following years, none of us listened. It was to be my first cull. She came to the beach after the Morlow slaughter, her hair wild, eyes burning with fury, raged and shouted like a woman out of her mind. As Otsul marked me with oil and blood, I did not mourn my mother leaving. I was...
To think...
Aggie.
Only one quiet.
What?
Oh, I'll sing you a song of the Queen of the Sea. Of when I first met her and when...
She was alone, and I would bring her food sometimes, samphire and sea urchins. She would make dry food, and we would sing together, make tea together. We became her family. She had a companion for a few seasons, a hind, who came down from the mountain and slept at her fire. One night we all felt it, those of us in the water and those above. The island waking. I found Aggie awake, tending her fire, unsleeping, unresting, staring into her mirror. She told me she'd seen the island sink. Aggie went to the shore and blew the sinistral shell, calling our people up from the water. Aggie sang for them, the old. As the dawn approached, Aggie left the beach to return to her people, to tell them what must be done.
We...
I want when I play and I play.
We heard the shell and knew Aggie had returned. Ibni was the leader then. It had taken many seasons, more than we would have liked. Some of the younger ones didn't know Aggie and didn't want to hear her, called her a moon-shot crone. But Ibni looked in her mother's face and saw. But Aggie brought us the answer. She would give herself to the island. Ibni's voice shook. Surely a deer or a goat. I offered my blade, but Aggie turned me away. She took her knife that had cut her own cord the night the volcano last erupted and wrapped Ibni's fingers. Aggie embraced her daughter. Ibni whispered something, but I could not catch the words. Both women's faces shone with tears. Aggie delivered her final message. She told us her body must not be burned or given to the sea, but lain in the earth of the island beneath the mountain. Ibni was shaken as Aggie took Ibni's hand and guided the knife to her side. We saw the fish folk rising from the sea. Aggie was quiet the whole time, but Ibni cried out. A sound of longing and hurting from her heart like I had. We wept then, in sorrow and relief. Then the fish folk were among us, countless, numberless. One embrace. Ibni and the fish folk took Aggie up onto the mountain. They laid her in the peat alongside the knife, and Ibni watched over Aggie for days afterwards. Before she was covered, she placed a sacred carved...
But Aggie, you...
Yeah.
Hey,
You... the one part of Shelmerston that looks just